I think all religions are trying to get at a sense of community and unity and oneness. I was born into Quaker meeting in Monkstown in Dublin, so my mum was attending when she was pregnant and tells me stories about me being a baby and making lots of noise in a silent space.
Finding Quakerism was vastly important for me. I think I found a community of people who are seeking to be authentic, who are seeking to be their own best selves, who are seeking to be loving, and that is very, very core to why they get up in the morning and how they go about their lives. And for me, that was really exciting.
And it wasn't until I came back to Tasmania last year that I really started to think about community and wanting a sense of that community, and started coming back to Quakers because my mother and my sister were coming to Quakers all the time, and I knew that it had done a lot for my younger sister, and she was really close with this group of kids who had all grown up in this space, and I was familiar with a lot of the people because I'd grown up knowing them but not being too close to them, so it was familiar and it was a sense of my community and I had a place here.
I was drawn to Quakerism because of the simplicity of the beliefs. There was nothing I had to learn, nothing I had to recite, nothing that I had to sit for an exam for to make sure that I moved up to the next level.
I came to Quakerism nearly 35 years ago. And I was living near the meeting house. I knew what Quakers were, I'd read about them, and so I thought I would come along, and it felt right, and it's continued to feel right ever since.
I really liked that sense of questioning, and for me that had been a real challenge in the Catholic Church, was that I questioned everything. And Quakers are really big on questioning.
Quakerism is simply a gathering of people who wish to live a life lived in peace, friendship and love without hurting others. And I found this quite exhilarating.
You know, Quakers didn't get rid of the front of the church, they got rid of the back of the church. And if you think about an organisation that is 100% priests, that changes your sense of the dynamic of the organisation. You know, we're all up the front, we're all responsible, we've all got a say, and we often do all have a say, and we kind of have to rub along together to make that work. So yes, it's not just we don't have priests, or we don't have laity. We're all in it, we're all responsible, we're all kind of master and servant at the same time.
My version of being a Quaker and your version of Quaker might be quite different, but there's core things that we would all hold as true. I would say, there's a quote by George Fox, who's sometimes called the first Quaker, and he says, to walk cheerfully over the earth, ... answering that of God in everyone. And that is that idea of speaking to and bringing out God within you in our communications. For a lot of Quakers, that big G word is a bit frightening, and it is for others out there. So we might say that inner light, or that the inner teacher. We're bringing that to the front rather than all this head stuff. It's like, what's your truth?
Whilst there aren't any beliefs you have to subscribe to, something that is shared is that there is that of God in everyone. And whatever you mean by the word God is up to you. Again, it's just a capital letter word, but that yearning for spiritual connection and that desire for community, maybe that's what God is.
The community is an important thing, and in fact one of the testimonies is to community generally, which is one of the more difficult ones to actually understand what that means.
There is a feeling of being in a joyful collective search. So being with a group of people who we're also looking for the divine that is in everyday life, everywhere, and to actually make it visible to us and make it part of our daily and hourly experience. And I found that pretty much from my first contact with friends. There's an authenticity and a genuineness and a willingness to acknowledge our shortcomings, our humanness, and that's because it's in our humanness that we find what is spiritual and beyond.
With religion and spirituality, we're all trying to get to the same thing. That deep knowing that you are not alone and that you are connected to everything that happens around you. And one of the best ways to feel that is just to quietly sit in silence, and to do that in a group where everybody else is quietly sitting in silence. It's a really interesting space.
Going to meeting it's where you go to have your answers questioned, and I really connect with that idea. There's a really beautiful description I read once of a Quaker saying that they go into meeting with their basket of washing and they hang it all up to flap in the breeze, and then at the end of their meeting, so they can just peg all their cares out, and then at the end of meeting they bring their washing in. There it is, all fine. That one's fine. Oh, that one needs to go again. You know? And I think there's a lovely sense that you come out of meeting going, I've sorted through some stuff.
Most of the people I know well know that I'm a Quaker and know that's important to me. They know that that's an important, I'm part of that community. And certainly being in friends, I'm not saying they're not my friends, of course they're my friends. But I don't live my entire life just through the prism of the Society of Friends. It's a major component of my life, but it's not my entire life. Well, it kind of is, but it isn't. It's the flavour.
Quakers have this lovely framework and lovely way of reconnecting to yourself, and by extension to a community, and it's really valuable, and finding a way to talk about that and to present that and to let people know that there's a space where you can find connection and community and unity, and it doesn't have to be anything beyond that. I really want that to be what comes across, that